Hello, this is Kate from dailytarotgirl.com, and this is your weekly tarot card reading. For this week's reading, I am using the Tarot of the Pagan Cats. And I am joined by a couple of pagan cats today. My two foster kitties, Michael and Ada, and I'm going to show you them in a sec here. So this is Miss Ada. And then here we have Michael. And hopefully they don't play with their track toy the whole time I'm reading because it's really loud and obnoxious. Okay, so let's get started. So my intention with this reading is to get an overview of the upcoming week and all its challenges, opportunities, and ideas. So the first card is going to represent Monday and Tuesday of the upcoming week. And here we have the Seven of Wands. And the Seven of Wands can come up when we are feeling either defensive or like we need to really stand our ground, as if something is about to be taken from us, or like we're being challenged in some way, like we really need to prove ourselves. And they're still playing with the toy. They actually never play with that toy when I'm in the room, but now that I'm doing a video, they're making a bunch of noise. So as you can see, the cat here has his back up. He's trying to make himself look bigger. He looks really ferocious. So what does it mean for you this week? So the beginning of the week is a good time to remind yourself to really stand your ground and stand up for yourself, particularly when it comes to things that are really important to you. Because, you know, there's always a time to stand up for something and to dig your heels in. And then there's times to sort of let something slide or, come to some sort of compromise. So this is about standing your ground for the things that are really important to you. Another thing I get with this card is sometimes we may feel like we need to prove ourselves, or sometimes we may feel like we're being criticized or attacked, and our perception of that doesn't always match reality 100% of the time. So another reminder with this card is if you're feeling attacked or criticized, like you need to prove yourself, maybe just check in with yourself and see, is this really true? Like, do you really have to prove yourself? Or are you just being really sensitive? I guess that's what I'm saying. Because we all have that capacity to sometimes interpret something a certain way because of our own insecurities. So it's always good to kind of check yourself on this front too. So let's have a look at the center card, which is for the middle of the week, kind of Wednesday, Thursday-ish. Ooh, okay, so here we have the Devil. All right, so the Devil, and one thing I want to say, let me just go back to the first card. I want to say happy Thanksgiving to those in Canada, because I know it's Canadian Thanksgiving on Monday, I believe. This could represent sort of getting together with family. If you're getting together with family for Thanksgiving, you may find yourself sort of getting in argumentative mode with your family for Thanksgiving. Okay, so let's look at the Devil. So the Devil is an interesting card. It's such a weird card here because these cats have rabbit ears, which is bizarre. So the Devil represents the opposite of freedom. It represents being tied to something, being limited or restricted in some way. And it's basically the opposite of being in your power, the opposite of being empowered. It's like you're under the influence of something that makes you believe that you are less capable and less powerful and less free than you really are. And quite often the devil will come up in a reading when we are really craving more freedom and more expansion in our lives. It comes up when we're ready to really question and face the things that we perceive to be limiting us and holding us back. So the key takeaway with the devil, though, is this isn't so much about someone else preventing you from living your best life or from, being free and happy. It's more about what you believe to be standing in your way. It's kind of like the internal barriers that you have that are stopping you from being more free. So some questions to ask when you get this card are, what are you giving your power away to? Particularly this week, is there a particular belief or fear that you are really invested in? So what are you giving your power away to? And ask yourself that question and see where it takes you, see what comes up. Let's have a look at the last card. This is the card for the end of the week, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday. All right, here we have 9 of Wands. I actually see 7 of Wands and 9 of Wands as having a very similar kind of energy to them. These are all really kind of intense cards, actually. So the 9 of Wands, this can come up when we have maybe had failures in the past, bad experiences in the past, and those experiences have now shaped our expectations for the future, and they've put us on edge. And sometimes this can come up when you're feeling really happy and everything's going well, and then there's a little voice in the back of your head that says, it's just a matter of time before the other shoe drops. It's just a matter of time before things go to shit. So the 9 of Wands can symbolize, in some ways, kind of feeling not so much stressed, but feeling kind of worn down and pessimistic about the future. So what does it mean for us? How is this going to show up for us this week? And how can we work with this energy in this card? So the 9 of Wands, in a lot of ways, encourages you to heal your past. So the things that have happened that now make you pessimistic or that now make you wary. 9 of Wands challenges you to do what you can to not necessarily release or forget those things, but to acknowledge them and to do what you can to heal those things that have made you kind of pessimistic. The challenge of the 9 of Wands is to not let past experience dictate future expectations, which is, of course, easier said than done, right? But that's the challenge of the 9 of Wands. How can you look at the past and the various failures or the mistakes or the disappointments of the past, and how can you still acknowledge those things without denying them and move forward with optimism and hope and energy? Okay, so let's have a look at all 3 of these cards, because this is an intense bunch of cards, right? In fact, all of the cats in this reading are really challenged in some way. He feels like he has to fight, maybe for his life. These guys are chained up, and this guy has something, one of them has something in his mouth. Now let me just have a look. What is that? I'm just going to bring it right up to my face. It looks like a ball of some sort. Okay. I'm not sure what it is. And then this guy looks skinny and tired and sick, and he has a bandage on his head. So all of these cats, all of the figures in this reading are challenged in some way. I feel like this is a week that I would call kind of a growth week, where there may be some challenges, but more than anything, this is a week where you're going to have opportunities to look at the things in your life that you feel are holding you back or blocking you in some way. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else I want to add to that. I want to say that these kinds of cards, they don't show up to say things are going to be shit this week. That's not what these cards are saying. They don't show up to say, you're trapped, it's hopeless, you're exhausted, nothing's going to work out. That's not what these cards are saying. When these kinds of cards show up in a reading, they show up because you're ready for change. You're ready to overcome certain hurdles. You're ready to look at something with a new perspective. And these might be things that you've kind of had in the back of your consciousness for a while now, and you've been sort of gearing up to face some of these things and to work with some of these things. But it hasn't been the right time. And it feels like it's like this week you've finally built up enough strength, enough fortitude, enough energy to face these things. So beginning of the week, get clear on what's really important to you. Get clear on what's worth fighting for, what's worth standing up for, and what isn't. Because you can't be in this mode all the time for every little thing. So you kind of have to choose your battles. And ask yourself, what am I giving my power away to? What would make me feel more free and more expansive? Because you're ready to expand, you're ready to grow this week. And number 9, look at your expectations for the future. Are they optimistic? Are they pessimistic? If they're optimistic, this card may not apply to you and you can just leave it and forget about it. But if you have some pessimism about the future, which I know personally I have a lot of pessimism about the future, have a look at that and maybe start to question it, but definitely have a look at it, be aware of it, and ask yourself, what would it take for me to feel optimistic about my life and about the future, whether the future meaning tomorrow or next week or next month or next year or the next decade. What would need to happen? What would it take for you to feel excited, optimistic, and looking forward to the future? And I think that's all I'm going to say. Yeah, I think I've covered it. So feel free to share your own take on these cards. I think this is a week where you're going to be tapping into your strength. This is a week where you're going to feel perhaps braver and more brazen than you have in the past. So it'll be interesting to see how this week plays out. So feel free to share your own take on these cards in the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful week.